Hey guys! So today I'm going to review an album by a band I've kind of recently got into and was blown away by them. And I think I should review another positive album, seeing that the last thing I reviewed I went on a bit of a rant because the album was so terrible. So, yep, today is going to be a bit more positive from me and not just ranting. So today, what I'm going to review is uh, the band Unleash the Archers with their most latest album at the minute, Apex. So a brief summary of this band. The lead singer is Brittany Slays. The Slays isn't her real last name; that's just what she goes by, Brittany Slays. I'm pretty sure she's the one who formed the band, and she used to, when she was a little girl, she used to sing in the choir and everything. So she's had some vocal training while she was in the choir. She has a fair bit of range in her voice and a fair bit of power, which is made evident in the album. Her voice is really powerful. But when she was a teenager, she went to go see a band. She has said who it was, but I forgot. I don't know if it was Queensryche or something. But she went to see a metal band when she was a teenager, and then since then she's been really into metal and kind of wanted to sing like that. So her idols is Bruce Dickinson and Geoff Tate, if that's his name, the singer of Queensryche. She wants to sound like him as well as Bruce Dickinson. That's what she kind of goes for. She is really into books, so she reads a lot of fantasy novels and kind of sci-fi. So the majority of her albums is quite fantasy driven, which I'm not too keen on. And when I kind of listened to clips of their music before, that I never really gave it an interest. And then eventually I did sit down and properly listen. But I'm not much into the fantasy thing. But overall, the band's fantastic, so I kind of overlook it now. So they've done a few albums. The quality has been quite bad of their previous catalogue. They didn't really have a lot of money, so the quality was quite poor and everything. And by album, the quality has improved and everything. And Apex is the best quality they have produced, although there is still problems in the production, which I will probably touch on right at the end. So Apex. I'm gonna have to say that this album is pretty much a story. So Brittany has a story laid out, and each track just keeps flowing with the progression of the story. So now that I've said that, I can get into the first track, which is Awakening. This song is 7 minutes 17, so pretty long. The band is pretty much known as a power metal band, so pretty great singing and musicianship with the really long songs. And 7 minutes 17 is a pretty decent length. This song starts out with not the band playing, it's a different sound. It's kind of a horror theme, I would explain it as, and I think that's how the band explained it and what they were going for. It kind of sounds like you go into a movie and you sit down and it's going through the credits, about to start, and it's got the really kind of dark horror theme playing. And then when that is done, the band come in. The band pretty much pound in. The drums go ballistic, the guitars go ballistic. They all pause, and then you just get a bit of the bass going. Then they all come back again, cut out again to the bass, and then for the final time they all come in again. Drums absolutely blazing, the guitars blazing, the bass blazing. They're shredding, unbelievable. The drummer, I don't know how he's not breaking the drum kit. It's so fast and intense. But eventually, it cuts out, and the drums kind of just hitting the cymbals, You have just the lead guitarist playing, and then the lead singer then comes in this part, starting with the low register, holding it, about to project a very intense vocal yell. It's not a scream or anything, and then as she builds it up to that really high note of the belt, the rest of the band come in as they were before, with the main kind of riff thing, and she's just belting out this amazing kind of scream, and it sounds amazing. And by that point, when you hear that, it's just like, God, she has some pipes. Her voice is absolutely incredible, just with that one belt. And then before the actual proper singing starts, it slows down a bit, and then the drum does a couple simple taps, and then it then starts galloping through the riff again, with Brittany doing her vocal performance. And her voice is just absolutely incredible. It's very powerful throughout this entire song, her vocal delivery. It's not really in the low register, it's quite high, not incredibly high, but it is high to the point where you think after this song she would have to take a sit down, because the amount of effort being put into this performance with her voice. I don't know how she's not blowing it, because it's so much power she's putting through. And then the drummer is just going absolutely crazy. The guitarist is going like nothing else. The chorus, I think her vocal register kicks up a bit, and it gets into a higher register, even higher, and it just soars a lot more. It's a lot more pretty than the just kind of really aggressive, not aggressive, but just power. Even though this is even higher, I wouldn't explain it as powerful. It is powerful and even more powerful, but it just has a bit more of a really kind of nice sounding soar to it, instead of the really, wow, this is aggressive soaring going on. After the chorus, the rhythm guitarist screams the last word with Brittany, and then once they're done, Brittany does a yeah, just belts that out, and they're all absolutely galloping again back into the riff, and then you get the chorus again. Then eventually you get to a kind of well, it is a solo, but it's all over the place, because it kind of lasts for 1 minute 17, but you can argue where the solo actually starts. I'm just basically starting it where he starts flashing about. So the solo is, to me, 1 minute 17. The screamer just goes out, and then the lead guitarist is just two-handed tapping like crazy for a while, and then it goes to the screamer screaming, and then it goes into what some people would say is the actual solo, which is quite nice sounding. There's a bit of showing off, but it's mostly a very nice sounding solo. And then as it ends, it's kind of like dueling guitars, and just as it ends, you get a bit of a whittle on the bass, and then back to Brittany coming in and singing. So because this is a story, Awakening is basically about an immortal being that basically never dies, and he's bound by a curse or something. He lives in a mountain, and he basically sleeps there until someone awakens him. So he can sleep for thousands, millions of years until someone awakes him. So every time he's awoken, the world is always different. Everyone he knows is dead. The stars look different. The land looks different. Everything's new to him. He doesn't understand anything. It's just all different. So basically, he's been awakened. The world's new, and he doesn't know what's happening because there's no one there. He's just awakened. So he's confused. The world's all different and new to him. and it's basically saying he's immortal, he can't die, and the scream is basically for the caller, so the person calling him. So awaken, follow my voice is basically the part he plays. So I believe that's it. The next track, Shadow Guide, is 3 minutes 56, so a bit shorter. Shadow Guide is Brittany is not belting as much as she is in Awakening. Neither of the band. It's a bit more of a backseat to that. Still heavy. She still belts, but when she first comes in, it's kind of like where a voice is kind of resting at. So she's just singing properly. But then about halfway through the riff, she's back to belting it like crazy. And then the chorus, she just holds onto the note, Shadow Guide. And then after that, it's just, you lead. And then her voice just goes even higher. And then back to just the really long holds, soaring. And then just rises it by like a note or something. Not a note, rises it by like one pitch higher than what she usually does. Halfway through. So that's basically that. The song Shadow Guide is he goes and he sees this shadow on the ground, and it's this kind of bird or something, and he's thinking this is probably the guide, so he's following. No idea where it's leading him. I think the road he's travelling is going on for days, so it's taken him a while. No idea where he's going. He has a bad feeling about this one. For some reason, he doesn't have any reason to. He just feels like this is going to be worse than anything he's done before. The solo here is 20 seconds. It kind of sounds like old school kind of playing. So kind of like what Slash kind of does, or Randy Rhoads when he was alive. Kind of that old school type of vibe, but it's shreddy and yeah, old school sound with kind of whittling. Still a nice sound. This guitarist, because it's power metal, there is a lot of shredding and showing off and everything, but the guitarist does have a sense of kind of, it's musical what he's doing. He knows his instrument, so even when he's shredding, he keeps taking pauses to hold a note, to do some kind of nice playing, back to the shred, but the shred is not just mindless, it sounds really nice. He does make it sound nice, instead of just I'm shredding for the sake of it, without any thought and, beauty being put into it. This guitarist really does it all the time, in every solo, so he does shred a lot, but there is a lot of beauty in his playing. He plays an Ibanez, so it's not exactly an Elder-made guitar, so it's not bright, it's not got the MGs or anything to make it extremely piercing. It's not exactly Fender either, so it's not a thick, warm sound. It's basically in the middle. It's a nice middle ground. It's articulate, but not extremely sharp to piercing, but it's not really thick and muddy sounding. It's got a thickness to it and a warmness, but it's still articulate. You hear everything. It's just not piercing level. So that's that one. Next song, The Matriarch. So this doesn't really progress. The Matriarch is basically the only song which isn't really a progression of track by track. This song is 4 minutes and 2 seconds. There's no solo in it. And this song is basically, you could argue that it is a continuation. So along his travels, the Immortal, he comes across some people who are sat at a campfire, and they're talking about this woman called the Matriarch. And that she's an extremely powerful being. She rules over everyone. She basically bullies the lands. She kills for fun. she does everything for herself. She's an extremely selfish being. She's extremely powerful. There's no stopping her. She's pretty much a kind of as powerful as the Immortal. Pretty much, like her power is endless. So powerful, and she tortures people in the land. So people fear her. They're scared of her. So it's kind of a heavy song. A lot of belting, and the chorus when it ends and she goes to matriarch. You got the nice kind of guitar coming after it with her kind of soaring until it gets back to the riff again. It's just a heavy song just to explain what the matriarch is. The guitar playing and the musicianship is still on point, so it's the singing. Just no solo. Cleanse the Bloodlines is 5 minutes 54. No solo in this one either. This song, the Immortal has finally found the matriarch, and is now telling why she woken him, which is she has how many is it? 1, 2, 3. She has 4 sons, and she needs the Immortal to go find them and bring them to her, so she can basically drink their blood or something like that. So she can perform a ritual that will make her basically immortal, and she will live forever. Because she wants to live forever, basically. She is extremely powerful and everything, but the one thing I guess she can't do is be immortal. So she needs to do this sacrifice in order to basically do it. She puts in more than that, because even though the Immortal has to do as he's summoned, she says, if you do this for me, I'll give you what you've longed for your whole life, which is basically freedom. You don't have to do what people say, and you don't have to basically live in your mountain for years and years. I don't know if it's stripping power as well, but basically he just becomes a typical person. He doesn't have to do what people say. He can live like anyone else. And I guess eventually come to death. So that's that. The song goes through a lot of changes. It has the start, and then when the matriarch speaks, the rhythm guitarist screams what she's saying, and then it goes kind of more pretty and kind of nice sounding with Britney's voice when she's singing what the matriarch is saying for the part of I'll give you what you've longed for your whole life. So it kind of slows down and it's really nice sounding. So at the start, talking about killing the sons and everything, it's a bit kind of gruesome and aggressive. Then the screamo, screaming the matriarch's part, and then I'll give you what you've longed for your whole life, so I'm being nice now. The song kind of gets nicer sounding down to that part. The Coward's Way is the next track. 5 minutes and 5 seconds. The solo is 22 seconds. It's a very fast and nice solo. As I explained, he does it fast, but it sounds nice, which he does most of the time. The Coward's Way, this is the eldest son she's after. Not she, the Immortal. He or she, no idea. But this is the eldest, doesn't have to travel that far to find this person. But the guy's basically a coward, just falls on his knees, begs for his life. He's absolute coward, trying anything to get out of it. So the Immortal kind of doesn't see this person as basically a strong person. It's just a coward, and he's just gonna drag this person by his feet like a coward. Next track, False Walls, is 8 minutes 5 seconds. This song is about another son who has put up false walls, not actual walls, but kind of mental walls. He's really good with words, so he has a lot of people under his power because he's great with words. So they kind of like him and they care for him, but it's just manipulative. He says what they want to hear so he can get his way, basically. And he's so good with the words, he does kind of have power over the Immortal. So when the Immortal comes and finds him, the Immortal's mind is kind of being warped and everything, but then he remembers that the Matriarch said, look, he's really good with his words, you can't trust him, you basically just don't listen to him. So the Immortal kind of snaps out of it and everything, and basically takes him. After the second chorus, Brittany does something which is quite unusual for her, which she does kind of sound. Now, because she's known as a power metal person and a person who really belts her voice, doing the ooh sound, it's really pretty and it's really nice and a change of pace. And it is different for her. And the initial ooh is the best, but she does kind of keep that on until it gets to the solo, which is a 37-second solo. It is very nice and melodic. It speeds up at the end, but it's still nice. So near the end it gets a bit kind of widdly, but overall this is the most melodic solo he does. False Walls in general is a slower song. It's not melodic, it's just slow. And they're basically taking their time through this song. But the gain and everything is still kind of there, and the power. Brittany's voice, it's still got a bit of power, a bit of the high register, but she's mostly kind of singing typical without really pushing it, I think. So it's basically just her God-given talent voice without, doing much else. 10,000 Against One. This track is 5 minutes 37. The title kind of speaks for itself. It's a guy who's basically got an army under him, and the Immortals come and basically said, I just want you. That is it. I don't want any of these other people, these women, men, whoever's there, transgenders if they are, gays, lesbians, whoever, although this is in the olden days, so I don't know if that was really allowed back then. But, yeah, all these thousands and thousands, the Immortal has nothing against them. He does not want to kill them. The Immortal's just a being who's just doing his job. He's got nothing against anyone. And, but this guy won't come out behind his army, and he sends the army in. So the Immortal has to basically slaughter all these people to get to this guy. And he's saying, you don't have to. Just step back and move aside. I don't want to do this, and you don't have to. But this guy's been so bad and everything that they're just following him blindly, and they're dying for this guy who won't fight alongside them. So basically he is also a coward, and he's using people to get his way. The album's quite political in a way, because it's kind of like politicians with war, where it's like, oh, they want money, or they want land or something, they want power, things like that. So instead of them going to fight, they have families going out there, and they pay them buttons and everything, and when the soldiers come back, they're traumatized, they could be missing body parts, because it's really bad in war. So this kind of speaks to that. The guy's just hiding behind an army of people willing to die for him, and he won't. He was offered the chance, you could save all these people if you come. No, I'll just send them in. Their lives mean nothing to me. Basically politicians. And then False Wall, song before this, a guy who uses words and manipulates people. And Coward's Way, just a typical coward. So even though it's just telling a story and it's quite fantasy driven, I think there's in these songs there was a few messages of what today's kind of life is like, and how bad the world kind of is. Like war, it's pretty bad, and then people using manipulation to get what they want does happen, and the badness in that, because people were following that guy and doing his bidding. just because he manipulated them, gave them what they wanted to hear, but then used it to his advantage. Anyway, the solo in 10,000 Against One is 35 seconds. It's fast and nice. I think there was a sweep picking in there, so kind of just strum down all the strings and then back up again, but all the fingers are picking every single string up and down. So it's not pick, pick, pick. He just glides it down and then glides up. That's basically sweep picking. Glide down, glide up, but every string he hits. Extremely difficult to do, but I think I heard it. Could be wrong, but I think that was in there. So it's fast, it's nice sounding, and he does one of them technical sweep picks, I think. Earth and Ashes is 6 minutes 35. It starts kind of acoustic, I think it's acoustic, but eventually Britney doesn't sing in the acoustic part, it's just an acoustic start, and then it gets back into the guitars. This song, The Immortals, obviously come to the last song, so this is the fourth one. I think I counted four. Yeah, four. And this guy obviously wants to live and everything, but this guy has a family. He's just out living in the mountains all by himself, with a wife, children, and everything. And he says, "I have a wife and children and everything," but the Immortals say, "I'm sorry, I have to." And then what weirds the Immortalites is the guy's response, which is basically, "I understand. I know you don't want to do this, you have to. So it's not your fault. There's no point blaming you. And everyone has to die at some point. So I'll just say my goodbyes now. And I'll go with you willingly." And the Immortal was shocked about this because I guess in all of his life he's never seen anyone this genuine. Anyone basically to just understand that the Immortal, it's not his fault. And the guy took him to the top of the mountain, the Immortal, and he's talking to the Immortal basically like, you don't have to live like this, you know. Like, if you want to do this, then fine, but try and get out of it. Try, because you're worth it and you're better than this. But he goes along willingly and dies. But it's the first time the Immortals kind of actually thought about it instead of just going along with it mindlessly. It gave him something to think about, and this person was very different to the people he's pretty much met through all of his millions of years. Where am I? The guitarist sings in this one. I think it's the lead guitarist, but they were thinking, "Oh, we'll use a screamer again," because that's usually the only backing they got. But because it's such a nice person, to kind of scream what he's saying, it won't work with what he's saying, and also it wouldn't sound right. So the lead guitarist did it, and it's probably the first time he's done it. I think. I'm pretty sure though it's the first time he's done it. And he sounds alright, he's not bad. No power like Britney, obviously, but he's definitely good and better than a fair few out there, I would say. The solo lasts around a minute. It starts, it's kind of like there's two lead guitarists, but from all I know there's just the one. But the first half is kind of nice sounding. Few leads, but it's mostly just really kind of nice sound, playing around, making it all big and nice. But then that sort of kind of dies down with another one coming above that as that one's fading, which makes me think two. But from all I've noticed, it's just the one. So I don't know if that's the case, but the second part has a pretty much different tone to it as well. And it's a bit more kind of showing off. Again, it's still got the really nice sounds to it, but it's using a lot more flash throughout the last part. Next, Call Me Immortal, 5 minutes 46 seconds. So basically, the Immortals finished, took all the sons back, they've been killed. And she's like, okay, to hell with you. So she lied. He didn't get what he wished for, which was freedom, which she said she would give him. He didn't really believe her, but even still, it's in the back of his mind because he does long for it, but no. It's just over, so he has to go back home, and that's the case. So he does. So Call Me Immortal is basically, I am nothing else. I'm just this immortal being. So just call me immortal. I don't have any other name. I'm nobody. I'm just basically what this is, and that is all I'm ever gonna be. Pretty sad, in fairness. The solo is 45 seconds. It's nice and shreddy, but it ends playing the melody to the song. So the first part it shreds and it's nice as per usual, but near the end the music for throughout the song, so the sound of it, he plays it that sound, but with lead. And then when it kind of comes to a close, he does a bit of a show off, and then it goes back to doing the lead of the overall sound of the song. Then he does a bit of shred, and then it gets back to the actual song, and then he starts doing the rhythm of the song. So that's the solo. Call Me Immortal is a lot more kind of fast, upbeat than the others that have been before. So Earth and Ashes and 10,000 Against One, False Walls, The Coward's Way. Call Me Immortal is a lot more, even though it's kind of tragic, the lyrics and everything, it's really fun song to listen to. Lastly, we have Apex, which is 8 minutes 20. So basically, the Immortal is coming back to his home of the mountain, which the weirdness of this song is this is where he's prisoned. It's where he always stays, but it is basically home, and it's where he's by himself, and he doesn't have all these people and all these negative things. It's just basically him. So even though it's prison and where he will be until the end of time, maybe it's his place, and it's where he rests and doesn't have to do all these terrible things. It's just him and the mountain. Nothing terrible's happening. The mountain's not abusing him in any ways. Like when he actually does get out there to live the life he wants, it is still kind of vicious. So the mountain is probably as good as it gets. So it's kind of the song, basically the play on it's prison, but it's also the best place on earth for him. Kinda. The song starts melodic, all melodic, not the kind of, it's melodic, but it's still got all the kind of guitars going. It's all kind of stripped back, it's melodic. Britney's singing melodic, which she hasn't really done on previous albums again, so when she does kind of take the register down and also doing the melodic, like Apex getting this melodic, it's not really been done before for Unleash the Archers. This is a first. But eventually it kicks up, and it's extremely catchy. People who've heard this song kind of agree it's the most catchiest chorus, and because of her voice and the soaring of it, and then how great it sounds, the chorus, and the rest of it when it kicks into gear, you really want to sing along to it. It really sounds great. The solo is 46 seconds, the typical nice sound with the bits of shred, as per usual. And that's it, unless you have the Japanese version, and then they do a cover of Queens of the Reich by Queensryche. Obviously, because she wanted to sound like Geoff Tate. Again, if that's his actual name, don't know. But they do it really well. Her voice, a lot of people, when they actually hear her without knowing anything, say, man, she sounds like Bruce Dickinson. I guess he's a lot more known than Geoff Tate, which I would back as well. Bruce Dickinson is like a god in metal. So she has the same register as him. She can sing in a fair few octaves. She's really good. Like this album, even though she's known for belting, and she really does belt, in this album she does take it down a lot more than she has done. Mostly just to the middle ground, but on Apex it definitely was probably the lowest she's ever been, and it works. False Walls was the overall song, which was kind of like her voice and the instruments were kind of on the middle line. For me, it probably is the worst for that, because I really want to hear the belting. Not that it should always be heavy and belting, it's just that is what they've done for years since they've been around. So I just think it's just something that they've not really tried before. So it's kind of, you can kind of tell. The band are very talented and her voice is still very good, so the song is still very good. It's just, compared to the rest, which is all the tightness that they have kind of done before, is not as tight. It just needs to be a bit more catchy, a bit more musical probably. It's just a bit kind of just mellow level kind of, you know. Same with Coward's Way, and then 10,000 Against One. It's kind of going for the story, kind of bringing it down just to focus on the story and everything. I think that's the idea. And you can kind of tell, and it's just a bit odd for them. Still very good, but I just think a bit more practice, basically. I wouldn't say go back to the belting what you're good at, because they are very good, and I think trying it a bit more. Because to kind of strip it down a bit and get melodic, it's a lot harder than just doing the really fast upbeat. It's fun, it sounds great, it's really catchy. You want to sing along in it, and her voice is belting and soaring. Bringing all that down to something which is slow, she can't belt, and everything. It's hard to kind of be like, this sounds amazing, I want to sing along, and not just be... You can be depressed, but not just to points where it's just like there's not much there. So it's kind of hard to do, but I think they can achieve a sound which sounds beautiful overall, instead of just a mellow sound like that. Because it wasn't exactly beautiful, False Walls. It's just a slow song. So to just put a bit more beauty into it, and a bit more beauty into the playing, some real nice sounds, and work on her voice to just have in that range, because even though she has all these octaves and everything, she doesn't really work in that range. So I think she needs a bit more practice in there. Not that she needs to practice to actually do it, just practice to kind of get her voice used to that style. Because her voice works, and she can do it. She just needs to have it fit that style. Well, it fits. You know what I'm getting at. And then Apex, even though it starts lower, because the song kind of builds up to that greatness, and that beginning part it actually is really good. It doesn't overall have to always be that, because you have the build up. So it's just the anticipation, but False Walls was just so kind of on the line. But the thing about, which I started at the start of this review when I said this album does have sound problems, overall it is very tight. When you listen to it the right way, all of it sounds amazing, and the quality is perfect. But if you have headphones in or something and turn the volume to max, the album is extremely quiet, and it's so annoying. And then playing it on Spotify, which I do on your TV, you have to turn the volume up a lot. Like my volume when I play music is around 11, 12. With this it has to go up to 17, 18, because it's so damn quiet. And then in the car, you really have to turn it up about 10 times more, so just to get that punch, which you really need, because listening to the phone, when at max volume you can't go any further, so you're stuck. And because it's so fast and she's belting her voice, you don't want the belting to be all the way down here in the register, do you? Because it doesn't have that punch. You want all that really heaviness chugging, pounding in your head and in your ears, and then that loudness to kind of be bouncing off the walls, to kind of, because it sounds powerful, you know it's powerful, but when it's so quiet, it just kind of messes with your head. It's just like, this does not sound right. When she's belting it and the instruments are belting it, it has to be loud and big sounding. But when the volume is so low in the mix, it just sounds so weird and awkward. So that's the problem. The album is so damn quiet. And when you turn the volume up to when it's really hitting and everything is so clear because of the loudness, everything's clear, everything is crisp, and then you have the pounding of everything, and you hear her voice really come out with the volume and the power to back it up. It really sounds amazing, and the quality is brilliant. It is great quality compared to their previous catalogue, but I don't know what was wrong with that volume. I don't know what they were doing, if that was the case or an accident. I have no idea. But hopefully the next album, they definitely turn the volume up, because for a band like this, with her belting, you want it to be loud and really in your ear. I'll be deaf there when I'm older, but that's the way it should be. Definitely for metal as well. I think listening to metal on like a 2 volume, you may as well not even bother. Obviously, the story of Apex as well, which I'll wrap up on. It ends, basically, he goes out, does it. The bad guy just gets what she wants, and he gets nothing, and he just goes home. And you're thinking, well, what was the point? Britney has said in 2 interviews I've seen, she's probably even said it in more, this ain't the end. So the next album after this one, whenever they get round to it, because I don't think they're recording it yet, but when they do, it will continue. And according to Britney, she's wrote it all out. She knows the story. I don't know if it's lyrically wrote out or just it's in her head, the story. But she knows where it's going. So she knows all of it to the end. So I don't know how many albums it will be, if the next album will just finish it, if it will be 3 albums, a trilogy type of thing. I have no idea, but the next album is going to follow this. So again, follow the story. So, wrapping up to closing, rating this album, it's definitely above average. It's definitely more than just a good album. It is a very good album. But is it excellent or a masterpiece? It's not a masterpiece because of the problems, that volume being so low, and kind of the middle of the album is not as strong. Like, the start of the album is definitely good, so Awakening to Cleanse the Bloodlines, and then Earth to Ashes to the end of the album. I think that's the best. I think The Coward's Way, False Walls, and 10,000 Against One are the weakest. With False Walls being the weakest song, in my opinion. I'm sure people will disagree with me. But even though I'm saying that, The Coward's Way, don't get me wrong, The Coward's Way, False Walls, and 10,000 Against One are amazing. It's just that everything else is damn amazing. So don't get me wrong, they're all great. It's just them other songs are just something else compared to them, which are just, they're really good. So it's definitely not superb, and then, as I said, the sound, the volume thing being so annoying, it really irritates me. Because if I listen through the phone, I can't do it. It's too quiet. I have to listen to it where I can really succeed the volume level, so it's actually really there and vivid and in your face. Very good is an 8, and then superb and everything would be 9, and then masterpiece 10. So 8.5, it's very good. It's better than typical very good albums, but I don't think it's really a 9 nor a 10, because they need a bit of work in the lower register, because they haven't really been playing around with that, and then that volume really has to come up. But musically, the drums are absolutely insane. Like, the first track tells you everything. Her voice is bloody incredible. The drums are bloody incredible. The bass player is very, very good. And the guitarist is extremely gifted. And the guitarist is first singing on Earth and Ashes. He's really good. I wouldn't mind seeing more of that, to be honest, just to show some diversity. The screaming, I'm not really keen on it, but how they used it in this, I think really worked well for him. Britney has said she would like Unleash the Archers to be half screaming, half singing. I think that would completely ruin the band. I'd stop listening to them, because I'm basically here for that brilliant music and Britney's voice. But another reasons for pushing 8.5 for a score, great musicianship throughout, great singing. The songs are very, very long, like overall this album's longer than an hour. So each song you get something different. The song has a lot of layers to it, obviously, so it's not the same thing over and over and over again. They have to put a lot of changes in to keep your mind interested. Great long solos, and for lyrics, you have the start, and then the next track follows on from that lyrically, and then it follows all the way to the end. And the fact that there's going to be another album following a story, I think to lyrically write that out so well, takes a lot of talent to get it all to rhyme, to all fit, and for all of the lyrics to follow on over and over and over, yet each song is completely different to the other song. It doesn't follow the same stuff, the beat and everything all changes to fit with the lyrics. I just think it shows great amount of talent. So her voice is like one of the best female voices I've ever heard. Musically, they are absolutely fantastic. Lyrically, it's amazing, even though I'm not really into the fantasy. I like the story. I want to know where it's going. I want to know how it ends. It's really intriguing and interesting. Shows talent, the fact that they can tell a story. So yeah, 8.5. Only issues is the volume is so damn quiet. So I would recommend listening to it through a TV, something with speakers that goes massively up, so not a phone, and with earphones and everything, or in a car, something like that. Something where the volume really goes to loud, because the maximum volume on the phone is not loud enough. So I believe that's it. I think I covered everything, and as per usual, I've been going for a very long time, and I've probably bored the living tears out here, so thanks for joining me on this. If you like, please leave a like, so I can see that people actually like what I'm doing, because if I have nothing, I have no idea what people are thinking, with people coming in viewing it, and then I see no response. If they agree, if they disagree. So if you do, please leave a comment so I can see if you agree with what I say. If you've got a different mind, like, do you think False Walls is the best? Is it your best song? And if so, why? I would be really interested to know. So things like that. And if you want to follow me doing this, because I try and go as in depth as I can and everything, and give as much info as I can. So if you're into that, then subscribe. I'll try my best to continue going like this. And if not, then that's fine. I can't make you or anything. It's your choice after all. So if you don't want to, then I guess I appreciate you just listening to me. And if you like, but you don't leave anything, if you like, then I still at least did something. So I'll just take that. So I'll stop rambling now. Thanks for listening. See you guys later.